Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plotlines. I'm your host, Connor, and today we're going to be talking about the episodes 3, 4, and 5 of the Ahsoka series. And I have with me AI Shire Tory back. Welcome back, AI.
Hello there. Hello, Connor. Thanks for having me on again. And we've got, I think last time we talked about episode 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time we're going to be talking about episode 3, 4, and of course the more recent episode 5, which is, um, uh, it's been seeing a lot of it on Twitter. It seems to be a lot of the Star Wars people in the Star Wars community have been really excited with well, really the end of episode 4, but also the episode 5, and um, I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
Did you think you'd be saying that? Because I'm pretty sure you had very low expectations.
I did. I didn't. I wasn't expecting. I thought it would just be like a small Force Ghost cameo at the end of the season, and it'd be like, oh yes, Ahsoka, you know, you found your inner girl boss, like Anakin tells her, you found your inner girl boss and you've defeated evil blue man.
Yeah, you're
Um,
amazing. You didn't need anyone else's help.
yes, you're far superior than me in any every conceivable way. That's how I imagined it sort of playing out. Um, but no, I mean, uh, I, I I guess was it Dave Filoni? Credit to him, he's managed to produce something for something from Star Wars, which is actually half decent. It's I can't I thinking about a particular episode 5, which we'll get onto. I can't really think of any criticisms. The only criticisms that I do have it's not episode 5. It's actually the whole thing in general is um I I do think the choreography of the lightsaber fights, because they're not using Nick Gillard, who was the chap who originally was on there on the prequels that choreographed the infamous duels between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Palpatine and the, the Jedi Council, and all those characters. Um, and it is noticeable that the dueling is not. It's good, but it's not where it should be. Um, and Yeah, so that's the only thing I can really criticize is that I think on the technical level they should have got Nick Gillard back to you know to choreograph these lightsaber sequences, because a lot of them it's like it's just very clunky,
Mm-hmm.
like the sequel ones. I mean, it's not as bad as this. I mean, the sequel. I'm just trying to remember the one. What sequel film was it? It was like the Last Jedi. That one was. I mean, that was literally the lightsabers weren't even hitting the bodies. It was ridiculous.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
and that wasn't even dueling. They weren't even dueling other lightsabers in that one.
yeah, and like Ray was treating it like she was holding a mace or something. I mean, it was. I mean, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. That's a terrible film, and
Well,
I
I'm just
um,
I think it has a lot to do with, at least for the TV show, I'm guessing it has more to do with budget.
yeah, possibly budget.
The
I mean, it's. I mean, I don't know because I mean, with Nick Gillard and his team, I don't know how much. I mean, I don't know how much he would charge them, but I think like for the Ahsoka show, obviously the lightsabers, lightsaber fighting is going to be it's a key component of the series, and um, I don't know. I just think it's not. It's I mean, it's better than the um other Disney shows that we've seen, but it's not. You know, it's still you know, not not up to scratch. If I was to be like the ultimate critic, and I know that Hayden Christensen has sort of still like memorized a lot of the fighting maneuvers that the lightsaber maneuvers from the his time on the Revenge of the Sith. He has that famous one that he does where he does like the double, like he spins the saber round his back, and do you know which one I mean?
I
He
think
does like
so.
a yeah, it's like a spin, and he did that in the latest one. So I mean,
Yeah.
he has remembered, I guess, some of the because some of the uncut fight clips, like from Nick Goddard's YouTube page, I mean,
Hmm.
go and check them out, because I mean, some of the things that were cut, the fighting scenes, like him, like him and Dooku and Palpatine and Mace Windu. I mean, those were like insane,
I'll,
insane choreographed moves. I mean, it's
I'll have a link to that in the description.
yeah, and especially the Dooku ones. I mean, some of those were pretty cool. Um, but I mean, starting with episode 3, and so Ahsoka and Sabine head off from Lothal to the this sort of area of oh no, so not from Lothal, from the ship, that dockyard that they were on, where they
Oh,
had the little
Corellia.
yeah, Corellia, that's right. And they head off to this I sort of, I think it's somewhere in the outer reaches. This like um the system in the outer reaches where they're building uh this huge ring, which is a giant uh
Hyperspace.
hyperspace into like to a different galaxy where Thrawn is, and presumably where Ezra is at as well.
I think
Um
the reason they made it the outer, like another galaxy instead of the unknown regions is because the sequel trilogy ruined the unknown regions as a possibility.
yeah. I think a lot of the Dave Filoni stuff is a lot of it's damage control, for stuff that's gone on.
Oh yeah.
Um, and as I've said before, he likes to take Legends content, put it into Star Wars. I mean, so for example, as I mentioned last week, this hyperspace ring is called the Eye of Sion, which
Mhm.
is a reference to a Sith Lord in Legends who appeared in I think in a few comics, but also the Knights of the Old Republic game, Darth Sion, who um, he was cursed basically to the point of he couldn't die. Um, and the only time and when he did die was basically when he let go of his anger, and then there was nothing left keeping him alive, so he passed off. So
That's weird for a Sith to let go of his anger to die.
yeah, so that's a bit spoilers. That's at the end of the KOTOR 2, and um, your character, basically your character is like if I remember correctly, your character's like like a very powerful conduit in the Force. So the persuasion and everything else is so strong with your character. Um, or actually, I mean, in Legends, your character's name was technically Mitra Surak. Um, Mitra Surak, and and it's a female character, and she went off to find Darth Revan, but yeah, she convinced the Sith Lord to let go.
Hmm.
And that's why I
So
think.
that is an old game. I don't think spoilers are that concerning.
I mean, it's like been 20 years. So.
Yeah, I think that's like if we can spoil Revenge of the Sith, I think we can spoil KOTOR too.
Yeah. No, um, I don't know if how old you are, Connor, but I remember before when Attack of the Clones came out in cinema, and there was this debate on a few like forums whether or not Palpatine was the same person as the mysterious Sith Lord, the master to um Darth Maul.
Didn't they? Well, like, did we not know his name in the original trilogy? Did we not know Palpatine? Like,
No, no,
okay, he was just
he
the Emperor.
he was just the Emperor.
Mm.
He was Darth Vader's master. I mean, the Sith. What the term Sith was in New Hope. In one of the deleted scenes, there is like one of the in that sort of meeting on the Death Star, one of the admirals mentions, refers to the Sith as Darth Vader before he comes in the room, saying, "Are we sure we know what we're doing with these Sith and all that sort of stuff?" And so the Sith are meant. The term Sith, it was mentioned all the way back in 1977, and there
Mhm.
was a few um there was like a toy packet of like Darth Vader where in the description it refers to him as a Sith Lord. So yeah, the Sith been around, but at that time, I remember nobody knew. Um, the only time it was Christopher Lee's character Dooku in Attack of the Clones, where he says that the name of the mysterious figure in the Phantom Menace um, is revealed to be Darth Sidious, and that he has the control of or was it hundreds of senators are under the control of a Dark Lord of the Sith by the name of Darth Sidious and all that sort of stuff. And so you find out who he is, and I think by the end of Attack of the Clones, well, I remember one watching it in cinema. Um, you kind of put two and two together at that point.
Mm.
I mean, did you have to be a bit of bit of a moron not to put it together?
Yeah. Well, that's what.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I remember there were people at the time. Some people were like, "Oh, I wonder we see the Emperor," and it was like, I think people said, "Oh, I think that Palpatine, that Chancellor Palpatine, is the Emperor." It's like, no, no, he can't be.
What was that? Was that the first Star Wars movie you saw in theaters? What was the first Star Wars movie you
Yeah,
saw in theaters?
the first one I saw in theaters was Attack of the Clones.
Okay, yeah. I don't. I'm pretty young. I don't know if I got to see any of the good Star Wars in theaters, or except for
Yeah,
Rogue One, um, which I still
I
consider a good movie.
I remember when Revenge of the Sith came in cinema because mm, um a I went to uh Bristol, um which is a major city here in the UK, and I remember queuing for that. And uh, when I think I saw it on first day release, and the queues were like all around the like the city centre. It was so busy. People were queuing up for ages to get in to see it. We because we already pre-booked it. Um, I think it was for a friend's birthday. Um, it was already pre-booked, so we went in there, and I was, um, but we had our parents with us because we needed sort of like the parental presence there. Um, I remember watching it at the time, and I remember the only time it was like really disturbing was when Anakin was being like was burning. was bur- it was burning. That was like yeah, imagine like 10-year-olds watching that, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
um
that always creeped me out as a kid. I,
yeah, yeah, that was entertaining to watch. I remember coming out to the cinema, and I was like, it was like, I think me and my group of friends at the time, we were just like all like silent because we were like,
like
the range of emotions that when because I guess when you seen it, like when you saw it the first, I remember how quiet the cinema was. Like people were like dead quiet when he turns the dark side, and you had like he killed all like the went to Jedi Temple and killed
the
all the
younglings.
younglings, and then Padme and everything. And I remember coming out thinking, oh my god, what just happened?
Yeah.
um Sorry, we've got gone a bit of a tangent there
No, it's a
about some
it's
nostalgia cinema trips.
it's
Um,
good to reminisce.
yeah, I mean, it's really funny because it was so shocking. I actually went off Star Wars for a bit. Like, I was. It was so depressing. I remember feel like, oh my god, what a terrible ending. um,
Well, but it wasn't the ending. There was another movie. You already saw it.
yeah, I mean, I think my dad at the time he said, yeah, but it all worked out well in the end. That's like, yeah. I mean, I guess. Um, but yeah, we So going back to episode 3, so yeah, I think most of the episode is basically them having like a dogfight in space,
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
did you have a complaint at all with sort of uh Ahsoka fighting outside of the ship?
Um, I don't know why she didn't chuck her saber. Did like a chuck and then force recall. You
Well,
know.
it didn't seem like she had the like as like she didn't seem like she could hold herself or pull herself back to the ship either. That also didn't make much sense to me. I thought she should have been able to like pull herself back.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't understand that either, to be honest. I was like, um, I think they were trying to recreate a scene that happened in Clone Wars where Plo Koon was like on the outside of a ship and he was, deflecting blaster bolts from droids and stuff. So
But he was able to he was able to use the force to like pull people back in, like pull the clones back in or back to attach them to the ship.
yeah, this is the thing that I've noticed. There's like a few moments where they're fighting, and then there's like moments where you think, okay, you could use like the force in this just to like push or pull something, or
Yeah.
push or pull an enemy or whatever, uh, and it's not used, and it's like, you know, uh, so yeah. I mean, to be honest, episode 3 wasn't very memorable. When you look at all the other episodes, I mean, it was an okay episode. I think that they to escape the um, what was it? It was um, Balin, Merrick,
Yeah, Merrick.
and Shin. I'm gonna get her name right today. Call
No,
her
no,
Blondie last time.
it's Blondie slash Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus, yes, Miley Cyrus. We'll call her Miley Cyrus from the. What was it, Shin Hattie or whatever her name is?
She doesn't matter. It's not like there's like 0% chance her character really matters in the story. Like she doesn't even talk basically.
Yeah, I mean her eyes. She has like proper psycho eyes as well.
Like Balin is it's pretty obvious that Balin is the sort of the dark Jedi with the sort of the influence with the character development.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's yeah.
Miley Cyrus
He's
is just there like Miley Cyrus was there for Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
And I mean literally
Um.
she voiced a character in Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know if people knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You know that floating head of the Ravengers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Miley.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Literally, yeah. Weird.
yeah. I have watched Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm not big on Marvel. I don't. I think I've watched Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man. That's my sort of
Yeah,
my knowledge
I've decided
of.
that especially the movies, Marvel's just too like thin. Like it doesn't have much meaning.
No, no.
Yeah.
And so we have at the end the Night Sister. I forgot her name now. That's
Uh,
also present. Um,
not Merlin. Why do I want to call her Merlin? But she's not. Morgan. That's what it is.
Morgan, that's right, and she activates the star map
Well,
on
this is.
this planet.
Oh yeah, that is at the end. Yeah, she are.
Yeah, and it basically shows like the Star Wars galaxy, and then all these other galaxies, and then the galaxy where Thrawn, which is right next to their galaxy, the galaxy where Thrawn and presumably Ezra are located. And of course, the map is needed to navigate the void of space and all that. And then Morgan says, "Oh, Ahsoka and Ahsoka's here." And then Balin says, "Oh, it'd be a shame to kill Ahsoka. There's so few Jedi left." And so yeah, I mean, it does. They're setting Balin up to have a redemption moment.
or at least to have like gravitas.
Yeah, yeah,
They want him to be. I think they want him to be sort of a Count Dooku-ish figure, an evil Qui-Gon Jinn.
yeah. I mean, I think also Sabayoth as well. I'm thinking. Uh,
Yeah, but he was straight psychotic and evil.
yeah.
Like,
Um,
I really don't see Sabayoth as having much good qualities.
yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because he is a bit more redeemable than in the in the recent episode, that episode. I was just thinking, when he in the first episode when he came out of the ship, I was like, this is the way he was cutting down all the New Republic people. You saw him as like a Sabayoth type move to do, but
Oh, yeah, I mean he's definitely got no qualms with how he gets what he needs done. It's just he would prefer it to be, probably less murderous than it needs to be. I mean, he tried to get into that ship in a somewhat sneaky way, though I don't think it really didn't work in a capacity.
no,
But he wasn't.
uh,
He didn't just go in lightsaber blazed like the idiot captain let them on, and then was basically like, "Oh, you're under arrest now. Why did we even let you on? I don't know."
yeah, um, and so the end of episode 3 is um, oh yeah, and what else do you have? I'm just trying to remember.
The
Oh,
sh-
I think
the
in the
the ship
yeah
loses power and everything, and they have to sort of power down. And oh, and is this part? Did Hera have a part in this?
Yeah, she did. She goes to Mon Mothma and the other senators and saying, "Listen, I need to some help with like a small expedition to this planet. Uh, I think I think there's something going on there that Thrawn's involved and all that." And the senator, as I predicted in the last episode,
Yep.
yeah, the senator's like, "No, it can't be possible. He's not here. It's all in your head." And he even goes, one of the senators goes like one step further and just straight up says, "Well, it's because you want to find Ezra Bridger, isn't it? It's all personal with you." And there's no
Well, be
evidence.
well. Also, politics can't be personal
No.
in a republic.
Yeah. And Hera then pulls like what did you what like where did you serve during the rebellion to the senator? And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't serve in the rebellion." And she was like, "Yeah, that's right." And there was
Exactly.
somebody on Twitter the other day, where I don't know who she was, but she basically said, this is like fascism 101. Uh, when and because this is like what the mid-century German chap said to his political opponents, like, "Where did you serve during the Great War?" And of course, a lot of them didn't didn't serve on the front line, and so that was and then she goes on to say that that was like used against presidential candidates in America, like um, uh,
Well, how much
uh,
are you willing to sacrifice for your fellow uh people. Like that's really what the question is.
Yeah, yeah.
If you
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think from that, what she's saying is, I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't think there was something to it, or I know what the cost is of putting people, lives in danger, which is an interesting thing because it's something that we confront a bit later on with Ahsoka and Anakin. Um, and then, of course, in that episode, we meet Jason, which is Hera's son and
Mhm.
Kanan's son in live action.
I really wish they hadn't made him have green hair. Like,
Yeah.
just have him have really dark hair, that's fine, they like, it just seems pointless. Though
Yeah. Well,
the child actor is decent, I don't think he's terrible, he does a decent job.
yeah. No, he does a pretty good job. He comes across as um as, quite not like an annoying child or anything. So
Yeah, he's innocent, but also interested in what's going on.
yeah, and I think it's quite he's I think he's going to be more sort of prominent in Ahsoka going forward.
Do you think he might? Well, I mean, Ahsoka, I think is a limited series. I think it's only one season, but so and I'm guessing there's going to be a season of some other show, maybe an Ezra show or maybe it's going to be called Thrawn, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but like, would you think? So later in the final episodes, where he sort of shows his uh connection with the Force. Do you think that if they find Ezra, bring him back, do you think he'd become Ezra's Padawan?
No, I think what's going to happen is there's going to be something going on in that new galaxy. Thrawn was building up this new army. Um, I also think they're going to make it that Thrawn is working with magic, night system magic, and cloning technology to bring Palpatine back. Um, it's sort of been uh, teased a bit in Mandalorian, um, and I think he's going to come back. And I think um, you're going to have this epic battle in the end. I think Luke's going to turn up, and I think there's going to be a lot of. Um, I mean, I think Luke and Leia surely be mentioned. I think Luke and Leia could turn up, or Luke could turn up with the New Republic, and there's going to be this huge epic fight, and I think Jason might go off to Luke's academy.
But you don't think Ezra will be around?
Um, I think Dave's going to pull something with Ezra. Either he's dead,
Okay.
um, or now this is another thing. What if Thrawn's in this other galaxy, but Ezra's not there? The whales carried him off somewhere completely different. I
Okay.
or something. So I don't know. I think there's going to be one twist with Ezra. Um, uh,
Do you
I
think
know. I
he's
think
dead?
if I was to guess, I think either he's dead or he's turned to the dark side, or something's happened which is not. I think it's going to sort of subvert expectations.
Okay. I mean, the thing is also Balin has promised Sabine that he'll find his friend or find her friend.
Well, yeah, she might find him, but doesn't know
Yeah.
what state he's going to be in.
Sure, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just seems like Balin has a lot more honor. I don't know if he's just doing it because he's devious. Do you think he's just saying what he's saying to get what he wants, or do you think he's uh gonna actually hold up to what what he says he's holding up to.
Um, I mean, I think the as they say, it was in Revenge of the Sith, like the was it the Sith? I mean, the Sith are like the devil, right? Palpatine is like the devil, so he has truth, lies mixed up in truth. Um, and so it could be, and the reason I say, he's promising her this, you're going to find Ezra. Well, yeah, but we're not going to, either Ezra could be working with Thrawn, he could be organizing this, he could have spent decades being indoctrinated or turned to the dark side or something like that, or created like either like a new Sith Order or something wild like that. Um, so I don't know.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
um, I think if I was to probably, there's a part of me that thinks that he might be not dead. It may hint that he died, but I also think it could be that he, when they get to New Galaxy, Thrawn doesn't know where he is. No one, because something happened in on the journey.
mhm.
So that would be interesting because then their mission is not to look for Ezra, but to stop Thrawn. Because um, I reckon Thrawn and his army, this new army that they'll have, like in Heir to the Empire, will return to the galaxy, um, and there'll be this conflict with might even unite the Imperial remnants and try and have one last great fight against the New Republic.
Yeah, my prediction is more simple. I really do think that Ezra is just going to come back and become start training Jason. And maybe he'll join. Maybe they'll all both join Luke's academy, but as he'll be joined as like a Jedi Knight or close to it, and maybe even Ahsoka might join as well. Uh, or she'll die. I don't know. Maybe she will die in this and be complete her story, because it is called Ahsoka. So if it's very possible that they might just end her story.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're going to have, because we know by the sequels that Ahsoka's not around, Ezra's not around.
Yeah, but there's a lot more years there that they
Oh
can,
yeah,
like, they don't need to do that right away. Like,
no,
and even if they did do that, like, the sequel trilogy is so small in scale that you can basically be like, "Oh no, they were just over here." Like, that's the bizarre thing about the sequel trilogy is it basically it takes place over the course of maybe a year, and it only takes place, like, the conflict that we get to see only is happens on like 5 or 6 planets, and they're not even
mm,
the most important planets in the world. They're actually, some of them are the least important. Like, just Crate is literally nobody lives there. Uh, like Dakar, what is it? Yeah, Jakku
Jakku,
doesn't really matter. It's very much in the outer rim.
yeah,
Like,
and they got Exegol and places like
Exegol
that.
is in the unknown regions. Dakar is basically is just a rebel base or resistance base, which means it basically doesn't have many people in it either. Like, all these places in the sequel trilogy, it's not galaxy encompassing, and literally it's. I mean, one of the reasons the sequel trilogy makes no sense is basically it's supposedly this really big event, yet it's not realistic in any capacity. It only, like, a big event like that would not go away in 1 year.
No, no, it would be over a matter of
Like,
well, half a
like
lifetime. half a
Yeah, maybe.
lifetime, really.
I mean, definitely like 5 to 10 years at the least.
Yeah, yeah,
And it literally is like a year, and the leadership of the Forced Orders knocked out pretty quickly, and then there's another secret fleet, the Sith fleet or whatever, the Sith Eternal fleet, whatever. It just seems like somebody was like, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and that's a movie.
yeah. Um,
So I think Dave Filoni might just be able to sort of make it so, just as like Ahsoka's not in the original trilogy, he can be like, oh, they were all off doing something else.
yeah. I mean, maybe they all go to the new galaxy, and that's why we don't see them.
That's true
It could
too.
it could be that they're all stuck in that they're all stuck in the new galaxy,
Just for
and
a year. Like
yeah,
literally just for a year. Like right before the movies start, they all get sent, and then they come right back after, and they're like, what the heck happened?
yeah. Well, who's this new Skywalker? Why is she why is she larping around on Tatooine? What
Why
the hell's going on here?
uh, Luke didn't get married?
Yeah, who's this pink-haired admiral who like wrecked her own ship? Like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, she's dead. We wouldn't even know. Also, the way Akbar died
I
just
know, yeah.
kills me. It's literally just like a sentence. It's like, oh, Akbar died. I'm like, what? Really?
Quite, yeah. I mean,
Akbar just died?
he's quite like a significant character, somewhat.
I mean,
In
he's
the
like, he's one of the most. Even if he never had like that much screen time or anything like that, he's one of the most uh visible characters. He's the most. He's one. He stands out because of his design and his alienness.
yeah, I mean, Mr. Prawn Man. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
and also we got to know him a little more in the Clone Wars TV series.
Yes, that's right. Same with uh Admiral, was it General Wolf Farlin, and who was the other one?
Which one?
Uh
Which general did you say?
Wolf Lauren,
Oh,
Wolf Lauren,
Yularen,
Wolf,
the ISB guy.
the ISB guy, and uh Tarkin as well makes an
Yeah.
appearance.
Well,
But
let's get into so basically Ahsoka or yeah, Ahsoka and Sabine go by themselves, and they get into a fight, and then they basically get trapped on the ship temporarily.
yeah,
Um and they have to turn off their ship so they're not detected, and they're basically preparing for a fight, and that's the end of episode 3. Episode 4 is basically uh the both sides preparing for the fight
yeah,
and moving towards it. Merrick and Miley Cyrus go out to confront Sabine and Ahsoka while Balin protects the map while it's delivering the data to the hyperspace
yeah. The
ship.
Eye of Sion.
Yeah, the Eye of Sion. And Hera is disobeying orders and bringing a squadron of ships to their aid, which, to be honest, not really sure how that's going to help, but or I don't know how they planned that would help, like if they made it on time, which they don't, but it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like it would have.
unless you're gonna like shoot out the hyperspace um
Yeah, but
hyperdrives.
they just had X-wings. I don't know. It just seemed like those few ships wouldn't have been able to do that much damage. But
No,
maybe they did have bombs. I don't know.
yeah, missiles or something.
So,
Um, yeah, and so we find out that oh yeah, because Marek, Ahsoka takes him out quite quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
he was a nobody.
yeah, he was like ash.
He was like gas.
Yeah, I think that's Night Sister magic, and
Oh, that is that what that is?
I think so.
That makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. That it's so weird because we haven't seen her do like any magic.
No, I think that's some Night Sister magic going on there. Um, and then Miley Cyrus and Sabine fight it out. Um, and um, Miley Cyrus wins,
I liked
and then
how
this,
Sabine though used her Mandalorian abilities much more because
yeah,
it shows how bad she is with the Force.
Force. That's right, and she does get one over Miley Cyrus, but Miley Cyrus quickly like BTFOs to the ground. Uh, and then the next fight sequence is because she loses her helmet in the fight and it's left in the forest. And then the next fight sequence is Ahsoka and Balin, and Balin says, "Oh, I knew Anakin. I heard great things about you from Anakin." And she goes, "Oh, Anakin never mentioned you." Um,
Yeah,
and
that was kind of a you've seen Endgame, right?
no,
The
I haven't. No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, never mind. It's fine.
Is it that the Marvel?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen. I mean, as I say, I've only seen like Spider-Man and the odd Iron Man like back in the day, but I'm not I'm not sort of knowledgeable of the Marvel universe.
Sure. No. I was just gonna reference a scene. It's fine. No big deal.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, and so those two, them two fight it out, and then uh, Sabine and Miley Cyrus turn up. Oh no, sorry. Miley Cyrus turns up by herself, and
Hmm.
then Ahsoka's like, "Oh, she's there. What's happened to Sabine?" And then she force pushes
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus into like a rock formation of the
Yeah.
star map.
But was she like almost choked her? Like I think she used the same like Ahsoka used the little dark side
Yeah, yeah.
to
She
throw her
uses
against the wall.
that's right. And then Balin sort of Spartan kicks her or pushes her off the cliff.
Well,
Um,
first Sabine shows up and they basically have Ahsoka's like destroy the it's like the destroying the ring of Sauron, like the one ring, she's trying to tell Sabine to destroy it, and then Balin just utterly obliterates Ahsoka, having her fall off the cliff, which I gotta appreciate the fact that Ahsoka lost.
mm,
Like that doesn't that I did not think that, like, or that was a concern of mine with the way Disney Star Wars has gone, especially live action.
yeah, that's right. And 'cause I'm just trying to remember. 'Cause in my mind, the episode 5 is still very recent because that's pretty good episode. But yeah, so and then sort of Balin gives a whole lecture to Sabine, saying, hand over the map, the key to the map, and promises, as you mentioned, to find you'll be reunited with Ezra. Just give us the map, and everything will be fine. And she hands it over to him, and then she's detained by Miley Cyrus, um, and they she's then led away to the Eye of Sion, and then
Hmm.
this time Hera and the Hera, her son Jason, and
And
the
the
others turn up.
Yeah, the fighter pilots, the
Fireflies, and
X-wings.
that's right. And they see the Eye of Sion, but at the time they're on there, they've Balin, Morgan's on there, and all the people on there with Sabine, on like the bridge bit. They've already got the coordinates to the new galaxy, and
Mhm.
so they launch, go into intergalactic hyperspace. Um, and yeah, there's like it they go through, or because of the circular bit, they go through the uh the New Republic ships and Hera's ship, and it causes like an EMP strike that takes out the ships momentarily.
Well, it destroys a few actually,
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? A couple of them get destroyed, and
which I
then
thought was the
Jason.
dumbest thing. I was like, "Oh, these people are so stupid. Why did they think that? Like, a why weren't they shooting, and why were they right in the middle? Why were they right in the way?"
Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, that's some sequel stuff going on in some regard.
That's just some
Uh,
bad strategy.
yeah, and then Jason looks to Hera and goes, "Oh, goes, Mom, I've got a bad feeling." He doesn't deliver the proper Star Wars line, which is, "Oh, I got a bad feeling about this." That's the
Yeah, that's the
that
Han Solo one.
Yeah, I mean it's Han Solo, but then Luke says it, Leia says it, Jar Jar says it,
It does
Anakin
start
says
with
it.
it does start with Han though, right?
Yeah,
In
but
first.
the running gag is it's mentioned in every single Star Wars film, but also games, like even in Knights of the Old Republic. That there's like a character called Atten who goes, "Oh, I got a bad feeling about this."
Hmm.
When you have to hack a terminal, he goes, "I got a bad feeling about this." Um,
And then afterwards, we learn Ahsoka fell into the world between worlds.
Yeah, so the ocean, the camera shows the cliff and the ocean, and then the ocean sort of transitions to the world between worlds, and she's like on this bridge, this sort of bridge, and she's coming to, um, and then you hear like this sort of this like sort of muffled voice where, um, was it Hay Snips? And then it
Yeah.
becomes, then she calls out master, and it goes, and it was, I didn't, and then Anakin's voice, a bit clearer, says, "I didn't expect to see you so soon." And then she turns around, and there is Hayden Christensen, Anakin from Revenge of the Sith, standing there looking, you know de-aged and everything, and
It's
um
pretty good.
it is pretty good. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, "Oh, nice." um One thing that I remember when that episode came out, I was thinking to myself, he's not wearing like the brown and white robes from Return of the Jedi.
Oh, is he wearing? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got his black robes, he's still got his scar and lightsaber with him, and so there was a part of me thinking, oh, is that Anakin, or is that like the more one of the Mortis gods, the brother
Hmm.
trying
I'm
to
still, in some sense, I'm still not sure exactly what he was, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, so I mean, I have a theory on that. I think Anakin becomes um the Anakin sort of becomes the father of the Mortis gods after death.
well,
He
then
embodied.
why is he so what's the word? Why would he still have the scar and that sort of thing? Because he just has control over what he looks like.
Yeah, because in the in so we'll get so in one of the flashbacks, when the Clone Wars one, he doesn't have a scar in that one.
That's a good point.
Um and he's wearing different clothing. I think the reason he appears as Revenge of the Sith Anakin is because that. is the one where Ahsoka saw him last, and so I think the way that I think the idea was, well, look at you, the most sort of familiar, um, and also I think it's just, I think also Dave Filoni knows people prefer. They wanted to see Revenge of the Sith Anakin because that Anakin's the you know, the
Prime.
best, the best prime Anakin, yeah, um, and iconic Anakin.
Well,
um,
yeah. So I mean, he starts dueling Ahsoka originally,
yeah, so to
and
start
then
with so to start with episode 5, the more recent one, he says to Ahsoka, she says, "You look exactly the same," and he goes, "Oh, you look old," and um, he then says, "Oh, you lost the fight," and then she remembers, um, she lost the fight with Balin, and he he says, uh, you he's here to complete, what was it, her training, and what's that? And it's the to live or die. Um, what do you make with that whole sequence? And then of course he ignites his blue lightsaber, and they have their duel.
have you seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes, I have.
It reminds me a lot of It's a Wonderful Life. It
Hmm.
it it seems very much so that Ahsoka has basically truly given up on living, at least internally. I mean, she's obviously breathing and she's going through the motions, but she's basically given up all the joys and the good things of life and exchanged it for utter stoicism. And it seems that basically it's a little muddled on like what he's going for, but what it seems to be is that he's trying to revive her spirits, which he does it in a really odd way, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think what he's trying to do, um, and I don't know if it's him or if it's the, because I think in some way Anakin has sort of ascended to, because he is born of the Force, the chosen one, right? I think
Mhm.
he's like almost like a godlike figure at this point, and so I think he what he's trying to do, he's all, as we see with the flashbacks, because then of course we have the flashbacks of the, they have the duel, um, and Ahsoka gets like a kick on him, and she goes to sort of says to him, "Oh, well, you haven't got that much left to teach me, really." And he says, "Oh, I still got a few things." And then he sort of lightsaber cuts the bridge. She falls down into like this dusty um haze, and then you see, you got young Ahsoka, and then all these clone troopers from like the first phase, clone troopers running past, and then you see Anakin in the Clone Wars armor, Hayden in Clone Wars armor running past, and um, I think it's the Battle of Ryloth they're on.
Yeah, it has to be. I know some people thought it was Teth. There are Twi'leks in the background,
Yeah,
so
and yeah, because she says it's one of their first, because that was one of their that was like, I think it was their first proper mission after um
Teth. Yeah, after like the movie.
the movie one, yeah, when they properly got to know each other, um and I remember in that first season going back, you know, what Anakin's doing is he's basically making her confront problems she had in the past. So, for her, she was her self-doubt came for her from her position of, you know, I don't want to do this, the war, because all these people's lives we've got at stake, and because she was in the Clone Wars, she was indecisive, she was afraid that making a decision would cost lives, and um she never really got round it in the Clone Wars, and I think with Anakin this time, he's sort of forcing her to confront um, that because he says we have to adapt for the times, you know, and that I think ultimately he's trying to tell her that you um, you can't live because she's living a life in fear of making a mistake, fear of this, fear of that, and he's telling her
Fear of living.
fear of living, yeah, fundamentally. And of course, one of the key components of fear is the dark side. And when she rejects his advice, he goes like I guess the what reminds me of, like those force caves where Luke enters, and you have like the being confronted of what it Yoda says, you only take what's with you in there.
Hmm.
So if you're surrounded by fear and fears of darkness, then that's what will project back at you. Um, and so you know when it gets to the bit where there's she's fighting at the siege of Mandalore, and you see Rex and the Maul's Mandalorian troops, which I think is a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, I
Uh,
do love
I,
that. I think people now really want to see a live action Clone Wars series, or sort of uh like, do you know, there's a sort of an in between story between, like, about Darth Maul, how he gets from sort of being captured by Darth Sidious to what is it? They turned into a comic book, and then to the Siege of Mandalore. Like, there's an in between comic book.
yeah, I mean, between season 6 and 7, there's like I think about a year and a bit of where um when Ahsoka, or when Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order,
Hmm.
and then she reunites with Anakin again, just in season 7, there's like a huge time gap in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well,
So
I would just, yeah, you could use that.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I think that people want to see. I think people want to see that young actress who I thought was quite well casted as a young Ahsoka, and
She'd be too
uh,
young for that age, though.
yeah, no,
She was too young for, like, the Siege of Mandalore.
yeah, no, but I think if you wanted to do like a season 1
Mm,
story, but yeah, uh, but I think what you see when Ahsoka has when she confronts Anakin after consoling the about wanting him to be more serious, not joke about, to have this sort of cavalier attitude on Ryloth. Um, After dealing, when with all the wounded clones about, he marches off with the clones, and you see like flashes of Vader, and it goes
mhm.
back to Anakin and Vader. I thought again, that's a really cool shot scene. That's my favorite. I do think what the ultimate thing that's trying to convey is that Anakin is the balance. So he brought balance to the Force. He is the light, and also he is the dark. Because I think he is the father now.
Mhm.
Ultimately, like the Mortis God. So he is light and dark. And when she rejects his advice, she says to him, um, "You are different, Anakin, but you're more dangerous than anybody realized." And what that is she's feeding into that fear that she had, um, which I think the Jedi Council had at Anakin, of fear of his power and
Yeah.
fear of his potential. And then Anakin's annoyed and says, "Well, you've learned nothing." Back to the start. And so this time it's no longer, nice Anakin. It's now effectively Vader,
Mm.
and he does like the fighting and goes, "Yeah, it's time to die." And what Ahsoka does is she then, when she's confronted with this, and she decides to chuck the lightsaber away, and says, "No, I want to live. I'm not fighting you like this. I want to live." And then Anakin returns, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the right answer," and then sends her back. Um,
Also, it's great, like the battle armor that he's wearing in the Ryloth one. It's perfect because it really is basically the armor of Vader, but just
yes,
without the without the helmet and such, without the like it's the outline of his uniform, just without the mechanical stuff.
yeah, and I think what would be a nice if they were going to do a live action Clone Wars series with like Hayden, Ewan, and all the others, it would be nice to show the transition from the Jedi Order from Keepers of Peace, like these monk like people, like clothing and way that they operate, to this military order. Um, because effectively by the Clone Wars and by Revenge of the Sith, they're more of like a because they're generals,
Hmm.
they're commanders. So that would be quite a nice sort of transition. Um,
Agreed. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the problem, the only sort of well, I do think the back half was slow and just kind of like I knew what was happening. I kind of wanted to see what was happening with the bad guys, instead
yes,
of what was happening with the Purgle, because I kind of already knew what was going to happen. Like it was just kind of self-explanatory.
I think to be honest, I think pacing wise, I don't think they wanted to put. I mean, could you imagine having an episode where they name drop Leia,
Oh yeah, right.
Hera, Anakin, flashbacks, and Thrawn all into one episode?
Well, it'd be a pretty good episode, right?
I mean, yeah, it'd be like the best episode ever.
Yeah, I mean, so it just seems like the back half. Just I also love the way they find. So like work, So I think you had to really discern what what Anakin was really trying to teach her, and to be honest, it was like they could have been a little more clearer. Even though yes, we're able to sort of surmise it, but it takes a bit.
Yeah, it does take a bit to
Like
to.
the average viewer, that's going to take a lot. That's kind of difficult for them, right?
Yeah, especially if they don't know Star Wars particularly well, or
I don't know. Even
um,
if they did, I think they would be still confused because it really did take me sort of a bit to think about it.
yeah. Um, the only reason I sort of came to that bit was after I when I was watching it, I was sort of trying to go over in my mind, um, you know, the changes in because I know they said they would took inspiration from Lord of the Rings, and I remember there's one scene, there's one in the book, but it's also in the film. I think maybe in the extended bit, but I think, oh, actually maybe it's in the theatrical version as well, where there's you know Frodo is saying to Gandalf in in um the Fellowship, I wish the ring never came to me. I wish none of this had happened, because he's
Yeah.
like he's sort of realizing the scope and scale of what his task is. And Gandalf says, all people in your position who've ever been in your position or will be in your position will want that, will wish that, because they just they don't want to they don't want to put that risk, or put
They don't
themselves in
want to
that
suffer.
position, and don't want to suffer, which is totally natural. But you know um that's not for us to, it's not for you to decide. You are in that position, but
Yeah.
what makes it good is with Frodo is you get to make the decision through
How,
that,
how
how
you
you
deal
want,
with it.
how you deal with it, exactly. And I think that's what Anakin was trying to tell Ahsoka. It's not hopeless. He says there's still hope for you yet. He's basically saying, because there's even the one line where she says, in the flashback, how am I going to, you know, is this how I'm going to teach my apprentice? And he says to her, well, do you want one? And he's saying that in the current context of, well, you claim you've got one, but do you really want her as your apprentice? And he's and I think ultimately his point was like that of Gandalf. He's saying, you may not, this may not be what you want, but I'm giving you the tools and teaching you how to manage what life has given you, and you get to choose how you go about it. And I think I think that's what Filoni and others were getting at, and I just think Lord of the Rings probably gets that message across a bit better than Filoni. That Tolkien probably can get that message across a bit better than Filoni can in writing.
Yeah, no, I mean they definitely pulled sort of a Lord of the Rings sort of transition, which I mean, and I think people will have to rewatch this episode to really get the full thing. Uh, and then Jason Sindula helps them with the Force to find Ahsoka because she's basically in the water. She's after her whole thing. She's been in the water and she's drowning basically, and they have to get her back out. Um, and
Yeah,
then
I mean, what's quite interesting is we know that the event with Anakin was, it wasn't like in her mind or anything, because
yeah,
he heard the lightsabers and the dueling between her and him. So in some ways, it is like, I guess it's confirmed as real.
well, she would have been dead, I think, if it hadn't been real, or yeah, because she was in the water for a really long time.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I think that it's definitely the case that it was real because otherwise the sort of her being alive wouldn't make much sense.
yeah. Um, and of course, that's led to questions here saying, what about other Force ghosts? Do they have access to the world between worlds? Why does Anakin have access? I think Anakin was, uh, again, in Legends, and I think, I don't know about in canon, but I know in Legends, when Darth Vader um, throws the Emperor off the balcony or into the Death Star's core, and Luke, Luke says his final goodbyes, and Vader or Anakin dies. Obi-Wan, who's watching as a Force ghost, quickly helps Anakin sort of focus his Force essence and teaches him the path to immortality, and hence why he's able to come back at the end as a Force ghost. I do wonder though, like, um, do other like Obi-Wan, Yoda, anybody else can access the world between worlds, or if it's
Well,
um
y- did you? I guess he. Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting question um to figure out, and maybe we'll see more Force Ghosts in the future. I mean, it makes sense to like for Luke to. Luke will probably have to talk to Anakin at some point, and he'll be the most likely to need to want to talk to any of the three main ones, or even Qui-Gon. That'd be interesting.
yeah, I mean, I did see a theory that the world between worlds, they're like in the Rebels, that you have those mirrors, right, that you can peek into and see, events going on, or past, present, or whatever. Maybe with like events currently going on, the way that the Force ghosts appear is that the like the blue sort of, the ghostly thing is that they're looking through like the mirror or something, or this they step through it and then they appear as like in the ghost format or something. I don't know. I'm leaning towards the idea that the world between worlds is, you know Anakin has like unlimited access to afterlife powers, including the world between world, and remember he was able to defy the natural order of life and death, which is I guess something quite significant. So, because he is kind of like a god figure at this point, I imagine.
Well, he's definitely very powerful, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's sort of a, I don't know. I think I think from a sort of a Christian perspective, maybe more just a very powerful saint kind of thing.
Well, I mean, from a Christian perspective, he is kind of like Jesus, isn't he? Really?
Well,
Uh,
is he though? But I don't know. I guess he kind of could be. It's not. It's just, it's hard to sort of reckon with the whole turning to the dark side thing.
I mean,
But yeah,
okay, so from a I mean, from a biblical perspective, he is like a prophet. He's like an ancient prophet.
yeah, but that
Um,
would still be a saint from like
yeah, yeah, like sort of Moses or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, he is kind of a bit of a Moses, or maybe even a David figure.
yeah, yeah, and uh, I know, as I said, I know, like in some Eastern religions, you do have like these gods which are good and evil combined into one, and have different sort of behaviors depending on you know um interpretation, like the Hindus and all that sort of stuff. So um but yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see what you mean, like a saint, but I think, I don't know, I think he is, maybe it'll be explained, but later on in the show, because I also don't think this is the last time we're seeing him in the show. I think he might appear again.
That would be pretty nice. Uh, but yeah, no. So let's sort of get a little further because the the interesting thing is that sort of Ahsoka comes out with she goes from basically Ahsoka the Gray to Ahsoka the White.
Yeah.
She pulls a Gandalf. Uh, she becomes more powerful, or at least more like embracing the light.
Yeah, she fully embraces the light, and I guess maybe what you could say is that she goes through an initiation process with Anakin, where he does teach her a final lesson. Um, and Anakin is the one that gives her the light back, which again basically means that he is the master of the dark, but he's also the master of the light, because he's that perfect balance. And yeah, from that she is um you know pure light side.
Yeah, it's a little bit like he's. I mean, it's like he's mastered his good qualities. He's mastered his uh aggressive, and he's mastered his weaknesses, and he's mastered his good.
Yes, yeah, he has. And um uh, as I say, I think you'll see, and we saw, like, we're going to see this different Ahsoka, where she's a bit more, maybe like her um younger self, a bit more sort of upbeat, optimistic, um and I think also a bit more caring when it comes to Sabine and others.
Hmm.
um yeah.
And Hera is called before a basically a trial. She's gonna be on trial for breaking the rules.
I think, yeah, with that, I think in the next episode, Leia's gonna swoop in and like save the day.
She's gonna pull like you know how Padme was like the lawyer in Ahsoka's trial.
Yeah,
I could see it if Leia comes in and does the same thing
yeah, like pulls rank and says,
or something like
"Actually,
that.
yeah, actually, I'm."
Yeah, well, it
Uh,
seems pretty. Mon Mothma seems like a very pathetic leader at this point.
yes,
Like
it's literally the worst one.
she is literally incapable of making her own decision.
Well, yeah, I mean, even when she was forming the rebellion in Andor, she was basically being told what to do by all these other like interests going on. So yeah, I mean, um, yeah,
Yeah. Anyways, I think Mon Mothma's. I mean, they're taking a little bit from sort of the Thrawn trilogy in that, but I think even in the Thrawn trilogy, Mon Mothma is still a better leader there than she is in this. She seems completely incapable of seeing things from from like both sides at least,
yeah.
or even the value of what Hera's doing.
Yeah, because the other, it, they're treating it as, oh, Hera just what is obsessed of finding Ezra, and that she wants to waste Republic funds on that when it could be going to fighting the pirates or Imperial remnants uh
Or the homeless,
or the homeless,
the
the
home
welfare states,
the
the
yeah,
welfare states.
exactly. It's they're trying, or basically the corporations that the senators are connected with.
Yeah, yeah. Coruscant needs another administration center.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
There's the minute they're building the Ministry of Truth.
yeah. Uh,
Uh,
the
yeah.
ministry for what was it the ministry for bureaucratic administration and all that sort of stuff.
the Have you seen Yes, Prime Minister? I assume you
Yeah,
have.
yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Anyways,
It,
I've been watching a few clips from time to time. Yeah, it just reminds me of that. But anyways, so also they send the fleet. They expend a lot of you know a lot of time to send a fleet to get Hera, like which is kind of interesting. Um, and Hera and Jason are gonna go back because they're not coming with Ahsoka and uh Huang with the Purgle. So they're gonna take the Purgle to follow or try and follow uh Balin and Miley and Sabine and all them, but she doesn't even really know what's happening. She's just like, we're gonna try this and see what happens.
yeah, yeah.
Which
She's totally zen, let
she
go.
she's
Yeah,
accepted she's accepted sort of that she can't control everything.
yeah. Uh, but she's she's putting her trust and her faith in the whales. The space whales are gonna take her to
Or
where
in
she
the
needs to be.
Force.
Oh yeah, yeah, in the Force, yeah. Her
Yeah.
abilities in the Force.
Trust in the Force.
Yes.
So,
Um,
and
so
then
that'll be interesting. It could be that in next episode they find Ezra before Sabine. Could be like something like that.
oh, that'd be
D-
funny if like the whales have like a shortcut or something.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you should have come to us like 10 years ago. We know exactly
Yeah,
where Ezra is.
that's the one problem is like why did they wait so long to use the Purgle?
Um, yeah, they might need to explain that because that does sound like a bit of a plot hole, doesn't it?
That is a massive plot hole. And oh yeah. And why doesn't Ray use the Purgle for something? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
The Purgle is just kind of a. I thought it was gonna be like a one-off thing, and now it's becoming a much more used thing. So it's just the more they use it, the more it's gonna be like, why was this not used previously? Or this creates possible holes. Anyway, so I mean, I assume you're surprised that you're still watching the show because I know, like, you were like after we watched after we talked about the first two episodes, you were like, if the third episode's terrible, I'm done.
Yeah, because usually the third episode is the one where it sort of goes downhill. But no, it's been pretty good so far, I think.
I know one criticism people have made is that it's relying on people's like uh oh, what's it called? Why?
What nostalgia?
Yeah, nostalgia.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's the same franchise, the same universe as it was like 20 years ago or 40 years ago. I mean, you don't have to make it completely different. You know, it's it's the same. uh, I mean, this is why I don't understand those criticisms. But yeah, it, oh, uh, Hayden Christensen and Anakin's portrayal is just a cameo, and it's like, well, how can it be? He's just a cameo. He literally is Star Wars. So,
Yeah, that's true. Anakin Skywalker is Star Wars.
that's like saying Harry Potter is a cameo in Harry Potter. That's ridiculous. It's this ridiculous statement, but um, yeah.
True that. I like that. I like that a lot. Um, but yeah. So, what's your favorite part of the last three episodes?
The world between worlds and the flashbacks, hands down. Um, to be honest, it sort of outshone everything else that happened in there. I've sort of forgotten like some of it, as you remember like, episode three.
Yeah,
That's
you
so
forgot three existed.
I forgot three existed. Yes.
It's slightly amusing, but yeah, no, it's I really like just the Balin moments, to be honest. Like, I mean, I really did like the Anakin stuff too, but I do think they could have done it more clearly. But other than that, it was pretty spectacular. I know there was some money, like, if they had more money, they could have, made the flashbacks even cooler looking. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think overall it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good, and I'm looking forward to each episode. To be honest, I'm enjoying it. So as the series goes, and yeah,
Yeah. Well, uh AI, thanks for coming on the show today and talking with me. We might have to do a recap of the probably the next three because there's oh wait, no, next two. Wait, no, there's three. Three more episodes, right?
yeah, I think
Six,
so.
seven,
Yeah,
8. So we might have to do sort of a finale episode um in a couple in a few weeks or something like that. But do you want to tell people where they can find you and pitch them your
yeah,
channel?
yeah. So if you go on AI Shire Tory on YouTube, on Twitter, um, you'll find me. I'm also on Iron Duke, Real Iron Duke 99, I think is YouTube channel. I'm on there every so often. So yeah, you can find me there, but you can find me on Twitter at AI Shiatori, and the picture of young Octavian as my avatar is the same on my actually I don't know if it is the same on my socials. I know the on my social media it's Octavian, but he's wearing a black a black cape with VR headset on.
Is that what that's
So
supposed to be?
yeah, that was designed by Cringe Walker.
Octavian? That's Octavian?
Yeah, young Octavian. This is young Octavian.
Now I can see it, but it just
Or Augustus, as people know him. He was known as Octavian before,
yeah,
as
Augustus.
Augustus. Yeah, it's young Octavian
Oh,
when
that's
he was
interesting. Plus VR.
um yeah, with a VR headset on. Yeah. Uh,
Awesome.
no, thank you, Connor. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, it's great talking to you. Please, for everyone watching, like, share, comment, subscribe. Come back for more in the future and check out our old episodes. And I cover here entertain like different fantasy or sci-fi shows, or content like political stuff, uh, religious stuff, and just history as well. So if you like any of those subjects, you'll like this channel. So thank you all for watching, and God bless.